All right, here he is back on the show. It's Chris Sarro, who's going to be fighting again for BKFC, this time on December the 3rd in Hollywood, Florida at BKFC 34 when he faces Stephen Townsel. Chris, how you doing?
Doing awesome, man. Doing good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to see
Last
you.
time I saw you was say what?
I was saying it's nice to see you too. And the first thing I noticed, you look a little different. You got a new hairdo.
Oh yeah, yeah. The real Slim Shady doing something different. Well, it's a whole new camp, whole new everything, new location, and so we're going for a whole new me, all new everything, new look, everything. It's gonna be
I
good.
like it. It
Yeah.
looks good. You're still as handsome as ever. Let's talk about camp now, because I know initially you were going to be out in Vegas. You were there for a little while, but you decided to go back down to Miami. So run me through everything that transpired there.
Yeah, really long story short, I just knew I had a secure team here in Miami. The last time I was here, I had the best sparring in the world, best sparring out of any camp I'd ever had, with the likes of Trevor Bryan, Noel Guevara, some really big names on the boxing scene. And I couldn't pass it up, compared to when you go to a new place, you got to start all new relationships, get established, and all this stuff. And sometimes it's not the thing that you want to do when you got, to fight in 2 months. Get established in a whole new, like geographically, a whole new area. And so to say the least, I knew what I had down here in Miami because I'd already done 2 camps here. I got injured in my last one. Excuse me. And so it was a sure bet. I knew if I came here, it'd be a sure bet. We get so many different looks down here, and my coach is Hall of Fame, boxing Hall of Fame. He's had 29 world champions under him, and it's one on one every day, one on one, no distractions. Me and him. I'm his only fighter, and you can't pass up that kind of attention. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with any other gyms, but when you're in a gym with you have one coach with 40 fighters. Makes a big difference when you have one coach that has one fighter, being me. So
So I
oh,
guess my question for you would be, ultimately, I guess what went into the decision for you to want to go out to Vegas to begin with, if you had that situation so solid down there in Miami.
I had a deal with a connection out in Vegas to train under a big trainer. I don't want to say any names because nothing ever ended up transpiring from it. It wasn't anything bad. It was just I knew in Miami it was more of a sure bet. If I came here, I knew exactly what to do, where to go, who to call to set everything up. And it was actually I was going to go to Vegas, but it was Detroit that I ended up doing 2 weeks, and we haven't talked, so it's been
Yeah.
ended up being Detroit, and it was great training in Detroit. I just, I had to come to Florida for some personal reasons, and then by doing that, I knew down here, guaranteed, I had a sure bet. I know enough people down here. My manager's down here. He knows enough people, so I have people in my corner here, and so it was a no, as we say in Maine, a no brainer.
Absolutely. Yeah, very well said. That is what Mainers do say. Well, with you being down there in Florida and this BKFC event going to be happening in Hollywood, Florida, is this kind of like a semi home court advantage for you? Are you going to have a lot of support?
Yeah, see, because I've been here a while now, and this is technically my third camp that I'm doing here, and so I feel I'm going to have the most people there in my corner that I've ever had for any BKFC fight. My family always travels out from Maine, and number of friends and family, and some sponsors usually fly out. But down here, I mean, left and right, I'm getting rid of tickets, and people are going to be showing up, rooting for me on Florida soil. So it's going to be a good feeling. I'm anticipating the best.
All right.
I'm used to fighting in front of thousands of people I don't know. I go to God bless them all. I love entertaining all of them, but between Alabama or Mississippi, the amount of fights in Mississippi, and New England was always my home court. So being down here, it's all brand new. And Mississippi feels like a second home to me because I've spent so much time there. But now being in Miami, this is my second year here. And you got to see me on my trip home. While we were healing up, we got in some good work. Just so everyone knows, Ryan Jarrell can throw some hands. Don't put him in the corner. But no, I feel good here, man. I feel good.
Very
Feel
good.
good.
Well, how often, or I guess, what's the plan going to be for you to train in Maine moving forward? What is that balance going to be like?
The thing with Maine, I love Maine. It's my home turf, and I like to come back to Maine as much as I can. It kind of neutralizes me, brings me back down to ground level. Um, but it's very hard to find the sparring, adequate training up there. Amazing coaches, amazing fighters up there. But for heavyweights, it was me and Ras always meeting up. Like we were the biggest guys up there throwing hands and professional fighters. So I was always traveling to Boston. Zach Kelmis, who's with BKFC now. Um, thank God, Private Jewels Boxing, gave us another home, and anywhere I could get sparring, I was getting it. I was putting posts online. I'm in Maine is nothing. I was just anyone over 205 pounds, I'll give you money. I give you headgear and money. It's crazy, and at this level, can't be doing that. So keeping it being professional, being realistic about everything. I until and the scene's growing, but like everything takes time, and I don't know if it will be in my career's span, where there will be adequate, tons of heavyweights up there for me to work with. I need to be working with high level guys,
Mhm.
and so for right now, I know for damn sure it's here in Miami. I know who to call, and I know just phone call away, and and that's too valuable to pass up. But fortunately, Florida is like a second home for most Mainers, so it won't be too abnormal just being a snowbird and popping back. But I miss home, but you know how it is.
Yeah.
Got to
No,
do what you got to do.
I get it, man. You're 100% right there. Well, you mentioned Raz, so I gotta ask about him. How often do you get to see the Raz Squatch? And tell me what we're gonna see Saturday night at NEF 50. He's got a big fight on his hands.
Another knockout, man. Another knockout. As long as he does what he knows he's supposed to do and use those telephone pole, reach that he has, with those long ass limbs. Excuse my language. He's gonna do great, man. He's on a tear right now, and in this sport, any kind of combat sport, confidence is everything. Confidence can make champions out of weak men, and it can do magical things. And Ras is by no means weak at all. He's an amazing athlete. He's got so much potential, and that's I don't get to see him often while I'm down here, but when I'm back in Maine, I always have to make a trip to Portland, or he comes up and up to the down east, and he's a brother to me, man. It's beyond friendship with us. So we understand the game we're in. There's going to be big gaps of time without seeing each other, but too much family time over the last few years. That anytime I see him, it's just like seeing my brother. So it's good. But he's got big things coming right now. He's on. His last knockout was 17 seconds, I believe. Against a tough Cody Thunderfoot, is it? His
Yeah,
last name.
Cody Lightfoot.
Cody Lightfoot.
Yeah.
And that dude's no joke. He's got a serious past. He's a big grown man, and seasoned professional. And Rast finished the job in under 20 seconds. And that's the Rast I've been waiting for, and we all have been waiting for to come out. And you've seen a progression in his last few fights. He did not have one easy fight in Bellator. Those were tough fights, and there's been this progression there that's fun to watch. And I think we're going to see the best Rast come Saturday night. I feel it.
Yeah, I wanted to get your take just on how much better he is now versus when you guys fought in Orno.
Light years different. He was. And it happens to fighters in this game. We venture off down different side roads. We forget sometimes what works for us, and we add on new things, or we try out new things, and sometimes that works against us. And it's a 50-50 shot. One man walks in, one man's got to walk out, and that night he from everything he's told me, it was an accumulation of him just getting off track with his approach to the fight game. And I happened to be the one that just the wall he walked into to realize, hey, I got to make some changes here. And I couldn't be more proud of him, with the comeback knockout win over Brad Lee. in Portland, which is beautiful. I lost my voice for like 2 weeks after that. And then to get called to fight Rudy in Bellator in his debut, he was supposed to be in my corner for BKFC 11. And because I didn't have anyone, I flew there alone. And he called me and told me about Bellator. I was like, go, I will be angry if you come. And we both had massive wins in our careers that night. It was a beautiful night. So he's done nothing but do it correctly. One thing I learned from him, which was one of the most beautiful things I've learned in this sport, was I never knew how I would react if someone knocked me out. How I would react as a man, as an athlete, as a professional. It was just a question I never asked myself. You know, and then after we fought, and he came up before that Bradley fight, he came up to Ellsworth, Maine, to my gym with my coach. The amount of respect I was soaked in it. I've never. It was. It's even weird to talk about because it was a cool thing to witness. He brought his whole family up, and his wife, his daughters, and he walked into my gym, chin held high, geared up in the bathroom, came out and gave us like 6 hours, me and with my coach Garth at the time. And I had never gained so much respect in a short amount of time for a human being. And he taught me like what it really takes to be like a true Ronin. That it takes strength like that on a whole nother level. And then to come back and have these beautiful wins. I mean, I couldn't be more proud of the guy, and I learned a lot from him as a professional. So it was, I'm very happy to see his progress. I think Saturday night is really going to be a stamp in his career. He's gonna shake the world. I really feel it Saturday night because the guy that he's fighting is very aggressive,
Yeah.
but sometimes the more aggressive you are, the faster you just run into something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I see it.
Raz is a true professional. There's no doubt about it. Easily one of the nicest guys I've met since I started this MMA journalism career. Are you going to buy the pay-per-view, the NEF pay-per-view this Saturday? You going to watch
Yeah,
it?
we can. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll be watching.
I heard the guy
Absolutely.
that's doing the commentary is a little it's a little iffy, but
Who's doing the? You're going to be there, huh?
I'm the guy doing the commentary.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. You're going to kill it, man.
Yeah.
You're like
Well,
the most professional person I know in this business.
well, I
Like,
don't know about that. You're reaching there, but I appreciate the compliment. Hey, let's transition to you and your career. I wanted to just talk about you and BKFC. What is your current contractual status? How many fights do you have left on your deal?
this is the last fight right now, and then after the third, we're going to be talking again. So it's going to be a good night. It's going to be my night for sure. But yeah, I've gone through 3 fight deals with them.
So does that put extra pressure on your plate to go out and perform come December 3rd?
Thousands of pounds. I love it. I live for it, man. I do my best when my back's against the wall. You know, in my debut as a pro, my back was against every wall in that room, and I shine. And I need that edge because to me it's like I ain't gonna break.
Mhm.
You know, I won't break. And so yeah, it puts a lot of extra pressure on, but I like that though because I don't anyone in this game isn't in it to half-ass it, you know. And so if I'm gonna do it, if I'm gonna experience it and walk through that fire, I'm gonna walk right through the middle of the ring. I'm gonna feel it the deepest. I want to because I don't want to be able to rest my head at night and think you left anything back or you shied away. Those are the things that at my core are the most important to me. So yeah, it does add pressure.
You know,
I always would tell my students don't put pressure on. I need to win this fight. I need to, but right now that's the case. And, you know, you don't always follow what the coach does, but that's where I'm at right now. And I like the pressure though, because it turns the heat up, you know? So,
so I've been interviewing you throughout your career, and I know your last 3 fights, the results haven't been even close to what you wanted. And I've talked to you after the fight with Burns. I talked to you after the fight with Kakar. I haven't spoken to you since the fight with Henry, at least in interview form. So I guess I just want to ask, like, your mindset right now, just from, just your overall skill set, the belief in yourself? Like, has it been shaken at all? Like with those losses, do you still feel as good as you did when you were, undefeated and on top of the world?
Yeah, see, the thing is, this sport's an interesting sport. And if you go, my first loss against Josh Burns, I hadn't lost a fight in 7 years. And the majority of them were knockouts or one punch knockouts and things like that. And when that happens a lot to someone, they can do what's called like drinking your own Kool-Aid. Now, I wasn't exactly guzzling mine, but when you go year after year after year after year, and every time you step in there, you walk out the victor, it starts to do something to your psyche where you think, ain't nobody can touch me, And so once it starts happening, you know, you got to go back to the drawing board and think, okay, how drastic was it? Did I make major mistakes, and what were the mistakes, and are they correctable? If they aren't correctable, am I being honest with myself about this? And there's a number of questions I had to ask myself, but the biggest thing was after you know injuring my knee, and first time due to an injury, I had to pull out of a fight ever in my whole since the amateurs. When I went back to Maine, I had a good 3.5 months to really dig deep into why am I doing this, and do I still love it, and why do I love it? And I ask myself those questions every day, and I came to a conclusion that I only feel myself and feel complete when I'm in that ring, and that's something that I'll die for. That's something that I will absolutely give my everything for. I'm human, but every camp I make upgrades, I make sacrifices. And I got an amazing girl in my corner who is on top of me, making sure I'm doing just that. Thank God for that. But I tell you what, man, I got a fighting spirit I was born with. And I just knew I had to get back in the gym with the right coach, build my confidence the right way, and it's building right now. It's like everything. This is the fight business. We're not training soccer. And so building your confidence, it's not something that you just go put an hour, clock in for an hour, do some jumping jacks, and you got to build it, with the correct building blocks. And thank God I have, my coach, Orlando Cuellar. He's a Hall of Fame legend in the sport, and he's right focused on top of me. And I need brutal honesty. The people in my corner are brutal, and diligent about not missing a detail with me, and that's what I need. And so I wouldn't sign the dotted line if I didn't feel that I was going to come out there my best. And I feel like God has a plan for every one of us, and that it took everything. It took those three, because I needed to be brought down a couple notches to approach my training differently. Because I wouldn't trade those for $1 million. Because what they did was they taught me things about myself, not just as a person, as an athlete, as a father, as a brother, as a son. I learned so much from those three, because all you have is yourself at the end of the day after a loss. When you win, you got everyone in your corner.
Yeah.
Everyone's it's red panty night, But when you lose, that's when you find out who's really in your effing corner. And when you do it a few times in a row, that's when you really find out. What's cool is you've been there. You haven't even shied away the slightest bit. You've been there since day one. But for me, the big point is I'm going to go out there and prove not just to my son, my family, and all my friends and fans all over the world, but I'm going to prove to myself what I'm made of. And it's going to be it's going to be a serious surprise for everybody. We're going through the fire right now. I went through it today in sparring. We're walking through it head first, man. But by the time it comes December 3rd, we are going to be sharp and prim and proper.
Well, let's talk about your opponent, Stephen Townsel. Again, December 3rd, BKFC 34. Townsel, he's 2-2 in bare knuckle. He's 1-1 in BKFC. When you look at him, what he brings to the table as far as his skill set goes, what are you expecting? What kind of a fight do you think we're going to see on the 3rd?
Head first, aggressive, come right off the line, all balls, no fear, kind of all that stuff. but it's like Mike Tyson says, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, and I got a hard punch, I don't, I feel I like Steve. Doesn't matter if I like him or not, but I like him. He's a good dude. He's got a good head for this sport. I think he's still a little green. Just but he's an exciting fighter, and I really feel that we are. I mean, styles make fights, and this is just a recipe for fight of the year because I ain't going nowhere, and he ain't going nowhere, and I don't take a back step to nobody, and he ain't taking the back, So it's one of them things where it's going to be interesting to see, But whoever, I do feel that I am levels above him on when it comes to skill level. I have many more years in the sport, many more years in the sweet science, and I've worked with world class coaches from Devin Cormick, Garth Crane, now to Orlando Cuellar. I've been all over the world with some of the best. I've been in the ring with some of the best. So I really feel that he has, besides Trujillo, his introduction into BKFC, and we saw how that went. I think I'm going to be his first real test, and I'm going to catch him. I'm going to catch him, absolutely.
Does this get out of the first round? Ultimately, how do you see this finishing?
It's hard to say, it's hard to say. All I know is when I touch him, he ain't going to like it. I'll put it that way, and then we're going to go from there.
Okay. Well, December the 3rd, man, it can't be here soon enough. I'm really excited to watch you back in the BKFC squared circle and get it on with another tough opponent. Chris, I got to tell you, man, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Easily, like I said about Raz, same goes for you, man. One of the nicest guys that I've talked to since we started this whole journey. Before we do sign off, as always, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where they can follow you on social media. If you have anyone to thank, any sponsors, floor is yours, man.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me. It's always fun talking with you in person and through the camera. At Chris Golden Gloves, Instagram, Facebook, same tag. I'd love to give a massive shout out to my uncle, Wilkinson Title Agency, Richie Zareen, Patriot Homes, Tony Murray, Fairway Auto Sales, Aloha Wellness Smoke Shop, Street Lawyer Service, Game Changer. Um, I didn't have my list in front of me. Give me a second. I'm doing good. Trifecta prep meals. We just picked up on them. And who am I missing? Everyone else, I love you dearly. Everyone back home, it was sparring day, so forgive me, a little foggy. But no, I mean, I really do want to give a shout out to everyone back in Maine and everyone listening right now because you guys are my fuel, and I get so much love. I've got 33,000 unread messages right now. I'm not exaggerating. They're built up. Ever since this app went worldwide, it's all over the world. But so everyone, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart because if there is hate out there, I don't hear it. All I see, all I get is love from everyone, and I guess it's out of sight, out of mind. I don't go looking for it. And so, but the amount of people that send me messages on a daily basis and just let me with no expectation insight, just let me know, hey man, we appreciate everything you're doing. Means a lot. So, thank you guys. And I'm a put one hell of a performance on December 3rd. I can tell you what, when I signed that line, and it's a serious contract that we signed. It talks about some scary things in there. I couldn't be more serious when I signed that line. And I'm looking forward to towing the line December 3rd. Thank you, everyone. Ricky the Ruler, my manager, first round management, best management business in the business, and BKFC for giving me a career, and completely changed my life. Dave Feldman, Nate Shook, they've kept every promise they've made me since BKFC 9, and here we are. So let's go.